Right, fantastic. Hey ho, and what do you know? Welcome in, everyone, to the Speedrunners Arena. We've got some fantastic runners who are going to do a bit of a casual play. We're making some last-minute adjustment behind the scenes because, of course, fantastic to see everyone. It's a beautiful day out there today, too. It is over here, anyway. West Coast, Best Coast. Adjusting volumes left and right. Excellent. Sounds like I'm coming through. You'll see on your screens the short list of the fantastic runners we have today. Chrono, Pro Piece, Mike Mizanin, apparently. Thor and Coat. And I've only ever said that name in my head, now that I think about it. It's like we've got a full gaggle of restreamed players. See the countdown timer already off to the races as well. Kago, Sova, Tatori, Scree, Summon Cthulhu. Let's get this party started. Already impressed with some of the custom sprites going on. And the classic cloud. So, because this is a more casual seat, we're going to be staying a pretty simple opening. I imagine we're pretty close to guaranteed to find Morph Ball at its usual spot. There's nothing wrong with that. One of the best items in the game, I think we can all agree. There is the Discord restream. I tried it one time and it wasn't so great. But I should give it another try. Boop. That one is working a little bit better off. Technical stuff behind the scenes. It's all a mystery. It's all just magician's patter. Finding some regular bombs at awakening missiles is just hilarious. Because this is a full randomized for items game, checking bomb trees is probably going to be a necessary step. And that means we're going to see maybe a couple of fights, unless we find absolutely everything else that we need leading up to it. Predictions going out for which suit is going to come up first. No sign of one just yet. Regular bombs and power bombs now available. Plus an E-Tank. We'll see if anyone decides to go for the Billy Mays play here. Looks like Miz is going to be the only one going for it on our restream. This might be big. Some construction zone checks coming out. A nice find for super missiles right there. Always good to see a bunch of ammo earlier than later. Some of the more out-of-the-way checks start to get a little taxing. Is rocking in some regular missiles, but wait, there's more. Just double missiles. Outside of double reserve tank, that's just sort of the most disappointing find you can get there. Old Mother Brain checks coming now. And some fast and furious stuff, some more supers. Yeah, get in your predictions for where you think Varia and Gravity are going to be and which one is going to come up first. A little shaft climbing action for everybody. This is a section of the game where everybody's kind of got their own flavor. You know, the right side wall jumping is one of the more top tier strats if you can do it well, but even dropping just a couple of the jumps kind of slows you down a bit, so plenty of very talented speedrunners who opt for playing around with the platforms a bit more. But everybody's got to figure that out. Finding Spazer early is quite nice here. Adds a little bit to the damage output and doesn't interfere with, having to turn on plasma again. Doesn't feel like that much of a booby prize when you get it this early on. Are we going to see anybody? Are we going to see anybody actively avoiding BT? Chrono going down that way. We did see Miz is taking all of the interesting action today. Going through construction zone, finding screw attack at charge. That is kind of a huge find right there. Most or all of the players are probably going to find it. Pick up Phaser. Thor. Actually going to be going through the BT fight. It's good to see him again, you know? Well, Miz is going to be hacking all the way into the back of Spore Spawn. See what we can find there. 3 out of 4 runners. Doing some pretty standard opening moves. We'll see if Terminator yields anything. We'll see if there's any gauntlet. Now that we have regular bombs, it is a viable thing to do, even if a little bit scary with only one E-tank. BT was another pack of power bombs. And I do believe Chrono ducked in, saw that it was a pack of power bombs, and didn't pick it up so that he could leave. Possibly didn't go there. Oh, tracking 4 people is difficult. Ah. I didn't realize, or I had forgotten entirely, that we're looking at a door cap rando, so the beams are going to be much more important than you think they are. The second pack of power bombs isn't even a bad find, even for this location, having to do this fight with the BT with supers. So, pretty easy one. Miz taking it nice and slow with this last super to make sure to get down to Mission Impossible. And we do see Thor going to head into Gauntlet, trying his luck. Our first look at Terminator now. Another E-tank, still a nice find. Ooh. The action's always fast and furious here. All right. Front of Gauntlet, another super missile pack. Still a nice thing to see. Chrono's going to be right behind Thor. Miz having to do a little bit of farming to get I believe, a super missile to get out one of these doors, or to try to ensure that he can get back in. Sometimes getting locked out of Brinstar can really mess you up. Thor taking it nice and easy going into the back of Gauntlet. Should be okay from here. Pro Piece getting in the front. At the front of Brinstar, and the early supers room. Ooh, looks like all of Green Bryn is locked by Ice Beam. That is unfortunate. Not very much interesting at the back of Gauntlet here. We're going to see a couple plays to Edakuns. Hopefully this yields something. Miz is going to end up being the only one with access to Screw Attack for a while. The big question is, was the correct play to go through Construction Zone, or was this more of a go down Red Tower situation? Edakuns, no. So there's the E-tank in front of the usual super missile door, which is a major location, but there are no Chozo statues in that area. Is this Chozo as well? Maybe I just read the wrong thing. No, well, actually, finding the super missiles on Chozo doesn't really prove or disprove. Thought I was Sherlock Holmes for a second there. It is a Chozo scene. Alright. So yes, the Edakuns area can give you a bunch of ammo and E-tanks in a situation like this. So you'll see some runners go there and some not, because if you get there early on, you can kind of load up a bit. Still some Gauntlet checks going on for Chrono. Gonna follow all the way through. Pro Piece back at his ship now. I'm gonna have to see some decision making. Everybody's kind of run into the same problems here. Miz might be in a situation of being able to say, hey, the construction zone didn't really lead anywhere. Miz is more likely to go down Red Tower at this point, I would guess. Oh, I see what you're saying, WJG. I didn't even realize it was, that's what went down. I thought I just wasn't paying attention, because that seems like the more likely scenario. Nice little high five from Chrono and Miz going opposite directions here. Pro Piece going down Red Tower immediately, so this will be our first glimpse down here. Excuse a little bit of raspy voice today. Cold weather, dry, all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. More ice locks indeed, and a plasma lock to boot. Pro Piece just making sure he understands how the door caps work. This is interesting. We've already gotten to a point where we're gonna get limited options. I think something has to be near here. Charge Beam is a nice find, that's for sure, but does not necessarily help with any of the doors. So as it looks like we're sort of constrained to meme route, but then turning around and going towards Red Tower from that direction. As I believe Miz took a look at everything that he could, and didn't look like there was anything useful there. Super interesting that the BT door was spacer locked. We see a wave lock up at Criteria power bombs. Thor going to be going towards the moat and seeing what's up there, and is probably going to be discouraged by all of the necessary beams. The moat door itself is also ice locked. I just spotted for my first time there. Very interesting. Miz is going to run into a situation of realizing that he accidentally went the correct way first, and then everything kind of went a little bit sideways after that. Seed is frozen. Nice. What was it? The only other door we saw was plasma leading through the rest of the top of Red Tower, so that could be a possibility, but that's going to be a lot of roundabout action. If we have to go down meme route and into the middle of Red Tower, well, that kind of solves that problem right there, doesn't it? So what are we looking at? Check set Spazer, then getting into Kraid. Unless something else is locked by a very interesting beam. We've only seen the one wave locks door so far. Now, all the players at this point are trying to get their bearings, running into some dead ends. I'm very interested to see and hear the thought process of some of the players as they're going through making choices here. Yeah. Phaser, possibly X-ray. Yep, exactly. We kind of know what areas we're going to be looking for in just a second. Now, we saw some divergence of route at the beginning. Are we going to see everything sort of reconverge as the players realize what they need to do? Pro Piece going down towards meme route. Chrono pretty close behind. Miz is going to have an easier time getting through the gauntlet with access to this screw attack. It still has to spend the time making these jumps and checking out these items to see if anything was worth it. I didn't notice if Miz took a save at the ship to maybe save Scum out, just to try to save a little bit of time. With any luck, these runners all realized what the settings actually were, unlike some commentators today. Pro Piece trying to make a decision about which direction to go, and is opting to turn around and go down, at least to grab this pack of super missiles. And it seems a little likely that Pro Piece is thinking to himself that because everything in Brinstar was ice-locked, going too far into that area is probably not a good idea, so I'm going to sort of gamble on going the other way. I think we saw actually a wave-locked door leading out of Pink Brin. Pro Piece might be onto something here. Chrono is in Pink Brinstar, is going to get a little disappointed at possibly having to loop all the way back up around to try this one more time. Pink Brin is generally a very item-dense area, so finding something seems much more likely, but with these door caps, it's going to be a little bit more of a dubious proposition. Miz finally getting through to the back. It's going to pick up the extra E-tank there. Oh, the grapple beam find for Pro Piece at Spazer. Is there another interesting decision that we have to make here? Like, we saw just a couple of seconds of trying to decide, does this mean go immediately back to X-ray? I think that we saw that the moat door also wasn't available. Chrono taking a reset. Let's see where the save was. Most likely the ship. I don't think there's any save points kind of along the way. Propi's gonna be getting into Norfair, and this is kind of seeming like possibly the way to go. And the high jump area locked by plasma, though. And not nearly enough access to health for any sort of dangerous hell runs to be done here. Plasma at high jump. So I've got Miz going down. Was this to Blueburn? No, that's the top of Red Tower. Miz has still got to make this check as well. And Chrono falling right behind in those footsteps. So there's going to be a bit more disappointment to spread around. Propius has taken a moment to think. Now, I don't blame him. You can practically hear the smoke coming out of my ears trying to figure out, what's what. The X-ray play is definitely for the memes, so I'm kind of voting for that. Miz finding his charge beam. That, unfortunately, being the only Chozo location available down here, and not something you want to really reset out of too much, depending on how you feel about charge beam. You're quite possibly right. Here's the duck into Frayed. Are the bosses randomized as well? No, I'm not even sure of anything anymore. Shouldn't be boss Rando, so Kraid should be beatable. And present. Miz heading back up probably only has one thing left to do and understands kind of where things went a little wrong. Chrono gonna be in the same boat, but could possibly... What was it now? Chrono already reset out of Pink Bryn, as I recall, yes? And Thor going through Brinstar, finding that screw attack. Now, I'm not sure if Thor checked the front of these doors yet. Or it's just committed to having to go back up and around. There's a quick kill. Fantastic work by Pro Piece. Looked away for 2 seconds. Was something behind Kraid? Oh, high jump boots. So, am I correct in thinking X-Ray is the only play left here? Because that's hilarious. Not very much in the way of energy, too, and a couple of unfortunate falls in that spiky room can get really dicey. Those waivers trying to snipe you off of your grapple beam. Pro Piece making his way back out. Chrono now going down through meme route. Miz coming along right behind as well, so we're going to see those places well, and we'll see if Miz remembers. Hopefully Miz remembers that we're going to be going towards Red Tower. Oh, it's my pleasure. I wasn't a little bit all the way sure because I'm feeling a little bit run down, under the weather lately, and my internet's been having trouble lately, but hopefully everything's just kind of working right now. But sometimes I have more fun going into a little situation where everything's a little bit, off the cuff, flying by the seat of our pants. Our Pro Piece ducking into the save room outside of the Frog Speedway. Might be considering a play towards ice. 2 tanks is pushing it. I think at this point Pro Piece must realize X-Ray is the only other Chozo location that's really readily available because of the grapple beam. So the save there to possibly scum back is hedging a little bit more. A little bit on the hefty side. I'm not sure about the difficulty settings and what range of E-tanks we really need to have access to something like ice. I think it's bare minimum 3, even for relatively easy difficulty settings. I'm seeing coming down the red tower, Thor spotting that there is access to X-ray, but no item. It's going to make that pretty tough. It's a quick high five between Pro Peace and Thor, and one with Chrono as well. All right, so as much as we had some very different routing at the beginning, and it seemed like people were in very different locations, everybody's kind of in the same section of Red Tower with different pieces of information now. And Thor might be in a position to make a very different decision. And we'll see if he goes towards Kraid or High Jump. Chrono making the immediate call. Thor going to be going towards Kraid. And we'll see where the Miz ends up at this point. Looks like going back to the left, so this is looking like X-ray checks for just about everybody. We've had a real reconvergence of these players trying to route differently, but this seed, and there's Ice Beam, which opens up just a ton of stuff. So, at the beginning of the seed diverged a bit. We've reconverged here. We're all going to be finding Ice Beam in the same place, but then we're going to diverge again with different players with different amounts of information, deciding that different things need to be prioritized. Does this mean... Was the moat ice, or was it a plasma door? And could this just mean... Oh. Whoop! Whoop! Did anyone else see that, or did I just have like a severe moment right there? That was amazing. Oh, I got very distracted by that. So yes, big question. Ice, does that mean early supers room, or does that mean going across the moat and direct ship? Because grapple beam also gives us the way across the moat. I don't know, Bison. It was incredible though. Miz trying to not let it phase him at all. Now, Chrono's got access to this ice beam. Looks to be going up towards the moat. And I believe we had another, like the plasma locked door leading through Red Tower, but this was an ice locked door here at Beta Power Bombs. Though I don't believe that's gotten the appeal because that's not a Chozo location at this point. Miz going back into Pink Bryn, it looks like. So this looks like a play by Miz towards the early supers room, but I gotta remember it was a wave beam door to get out of Pink Bryn again. So that might be speaking to us what's supposed to be happening here. Chrono getting through the tube, possibly looking to save at the ship to think about where to go and what to try next. I believe it was also an ice door or a wave door for the criteria power bombs. I should be taking notes. And it was a wave door into the sign hopper room for Green Gate glitch as well, yes. Pardon me. There's just a mad mental dash at this point on my part, and probably on the parts of the players as well, to figure out what needs doing. Miz gonna be the first one back in towards the early supers room. See if this yields any results. This is a very severe moment, it was. It was amazing. This into the back gives us... Ooh! Hot dog, we have a wiener. We will be picking up our gravity suits first. And thinking very hard. This might mean wrecked ship is much more the play. It might mean Meridia is the way to go. Chrono going to be picking up this suit as well, and I believe this is Pro Piece at the top of the elevator to get to Green Bryn. Congratulations to everybody who won their predictions. And we're looking at just over 24 minutes before spotting Gravity Suit. Well, that's quite a while to go without a suit in some cases. Thor, unfortunately, going to be on the route of checking just about everything and then accidentally last locationing stuff. A totally viable thing to happen to anybody. Sometimes things just go kind of wonky. Thor's a fantastic player, too. Like, no lack of execution and thought process on his part, for sure. It's just the nature of randomizers sometimes. Alright, so we're going to be retreading a bit of the same ground at this point. Now, Pro Piece going to be ducking down to Edekun's, going to be picking up some minor items, but with no Chozo statue to speak of. Might not yield anything that he's particularly interested in. Looks like a save at the ship for Miz, Chrono right behind. We'll be seeing Meridia coming up next. Well, that's a tougher call than usual because I think you need to use Meme Route to get down there. A red tower door, being a plasma door and all, it's not going to be an easy route to get through. I look over and just realized that Pro Piece doesn't have Screw, which means this is Pro Piece's actual first trip into Big Pink? This is wild. Divergence, convergence, divergence all over again. A quick ocean check for some extra goodies. Some more supers. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Reem, did you genuinely get all of that? Were you the only person who bet on Gravity? I've wanted to see that. Thor get charged? No, I don't think Thor's been to the top of Red Tower the way everyone else has. Or maybe there was a reset at one point? Now we're gonna have to see what Pro Piece gets up to. And they're a couple plays into the wrecked ship at this point, so nobody going directly to Meridia. For as much as all these players had to kind of end up in the same places, not everybody has ended up with exactly the same loadout. Thor with the massively bold play, going across moat without going to early supers, and it is a little bit out of the way. Like I said, Thor very comfortable with all aspects of this game, is not going to have any trouble fighting these bosses. Pro Piece realizing the conundrum he has found himself in. Going to have to choose how to go about this, and there's not much to do except retreat out of the area. There probably wasn't a save done too recently. Miz and Chrono both backing out of wrecked ship? Oh, I didn't spot. Is there, what, a plasma door blocking the way to Fantoon? Plasma locked, yes. Took me by surprise for a second there. Thor with the utter anticipation of firing that super. There's some muscle memory going on right there. So, yeah, going down Meme Route into Meridia appears to be what the game intended. And it's not letting anybody really take any shortcuts. There you go, the Kraid markdowns. Let's see here. Pro Piece having Gravity Suit is actually sort of in an okay position to turn right down, to go down Meme Route without having to go back outside, without trying to check wrecked ship. So could get right back into this by making a quick decision here. Chrono going to be the first out into Green Hills. Down, down, down we go towards the tube. Blow it up. And technically we have access to ice and high jump. So Thor might even opt to do Suitless Meridia. As things stand, it seems pretty likely that Plasma has to be in Meridia somewhere. Or possibly Wave, and Plasma's just hiding behind Wave, like a really simple check. Let's see if there's more like curveballs being thrown this way. Speed might be required in a second here. Gotta be something in Meridia. I feel like just a ton of the items that we have found leading up to this point have ended up pointing towards a Meridia play here. We're going to see the tube go down for the first time in a second. Oh, nope. Chrono's opting to run on into Kraid, which is also a fine thing to do. You got to do this at some point. Trying to make the little hop off of this ledge. He just got not very much running room. Grabs the wall jump. Miz blasting past as well. Did Miz not? No, it looks like Miz hasn't visited Kraid yet. Could have sworn we saw 2 deaths. I wonder who that was now. Did Pro Piece go down there already? Because, yeah, it was high jump behind Kraid, so Pro was the one who knocked out Kraid. That's right. High jump Plasma does sound correct. It does sound like something I said out loud not too long ago. We're just passing the half-hour mark here. Pro Piece in for a bit of a disappointment. Coming across to wreck ship and is going to have to find out that Plasma's a very required item. Thor picking up his gravity suit. Chrono and Miz going to be dancing it out with Kraid really quick. Got a prom on Chrono's side. Miz going to be aiming for the bomb setup. Short hopped it a little bit on the supers. Got some extra damage on the way with the extra frame that Kraid's mouth was open, but there's still going to be one required super missile to take Kraid down from here. There's those high jump boots. Miz just spamming. And there's the death there. A little bit of a double prom, but not quite a Waffle House. I think Miz and Chrono are going to both be pretty keen on checking Meridian now, though I'm not sure either of them ended up down in Norfair just yet. Spamming is definitely a valid strategy when you have that many actual missiles. Charge beam for everyone. Thor coming down meme route now. It looks like Pro Piece never did Gauntlet, so this will be a bit of time out of the way. Pro Piece is going to feel a little bit relieved that there wasn't something important here that he could have gotten much earlier, but that also means that there's very few locations remaining to check things out. Well, here's the play down to Norfair. Miz checking the janitor's closet. I think this was Plasma, we said. Plasma door blocking high jump. Chrono's got some extra E-tanks, though, and might feel frisky about checking out some hot areas. Though I think for these settings, hell running wasn't really going to be necessary. We will see an ice check. That'll be interesting. Pro Piece ducking back out the front of Gauntlet, realizing that there wasn't going to be anything at the back. And it's also a check to Norfair from Miz. All of these players showing fantastic intuition, checking places that they really have ready access to. Now, we're kind of sure on our side of things, because we've seen everybody's information, that the game was pretty convinced that you needed to go into Meridia for something, but finding ice at speed like that might challenge that assumption just a little bit. We do have access to Ice Beam to get through Meridia, if it came down to needing something that was blocked behind Batoon or all the way at Dre. Well, as I recall, it's not a Chozo statue at Waterway. It's a major location, but not a Chozo location. Which is almost a little unfortunate, but I can't be all the way sadistic. So Thor, last person to pick up his gravity suit, because of all the information he's gathered already so far, is the first one to take the dip into Meridia. The action is fast and furious right now. Yeah, I've said so many times that eventually I would learn what all the presets actually do, and that's just not really happened. The speed booster is going to knock some time off of everything that these players are trying to do as well. So it is just a generally useful item, even if it ends up that nothing was truly locked behind it. Are using some grapply strats. Pro piece had a reset back out to the ship. Is probably in a position of thinking that Meridia is the way to go. And Chrono making short use of the big room in Meridia with that speed booster, so there's that movement advantage already. So getting all the players with all the information at this point. That speed booster is going to come in handy though. Chrono opting for a save is a little bit low on ammo, but has access to charge beam, so bot wound shouldn't be too much of a problem. Miz taking advantage of that speed booster to get through Frog Speedway. This will be very interesting to see if something comes up. If this is an earlier plasma find than some of the other players, it might help, but it also might be a bit of a hindrance. I was a little surprised by the no gravity jump as well. In terms of Chozo locations, so yeah, either space jump or plasma, I think are the prominent ones down here. There's other major locations, but I'm trying really hard to think of the Chozo locations in Meridia. Yeah, and no space jump just yet means I don't think that Shack can be required. Not just this moment, anyway. Chrono stopping in to farm up a little bit. And Pro Piece, I think, getting a little turned around on what was required where, and what his major options are at this point. Pro Piece does have access to everything. I'm very interested in these Miz checks, though, to see what the Chozo items are. The extra E-tank's a welcome sight right here. Into the Coliseum, yes? With the Mocktroids. So Chrono making a pretty fast beeline just towards Dre, not really stopping for very much of anything. Probably got a pretty significant loadout, and this could be Wave or Plasma, I think are big options anymore. Or Varia. So if this is a Varia suit, and Norfair and Lower Norfair, I think, are just on the table at that point. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, this has turned interesting. Dragon is locked by Wave. And Wave is locked by Wave. It's going to be an unfortunate death for Miz. So I imagine the save must have been soon. Now, Thor going to be getting the bad news in just a second here. Pro Piece tries to gather his thoughts and is going down towards... Yes. So I'm going to be taking one of the sand pits. I don't think are modified for Chozo locations. Is Chrono going to go over to Shack and show off some skills, perhaps? He is trying to throw a Crystal Flash, but I'm not sure the ammo situation was in there, but I couldn't see. Okay, looks like we're getting to play towards Shack Tool. We're going to see what... Okay, that's true, because we have high jump, and what I think even for a casual, a flatly jump. might be something you need to be able to do. You can also ice clip into it, but it's much harder than the Machtroid one. Miz might be thinking of just popping down to Croc and seeing what happens down there. Which might be an interesting thing to do. We do have access to Speed Booster, which means the front side of Croc also, like, if my ears were smoking before, like, I've got brisket going at this point. And my brisket is not good for thinking. Trying to hack this gate. Is Chrono gonna find the way? Croc's still out of logic, yeah. I could find a beam still down here. This will be very interesting if Varia's here and Wave is down at Croc, then Miz might be jumping right back into the lead. So it's got to be something at Shack here. Chrono saving the look for the end. It is Varia. So if Miz finds Wave behind Croc and is able to get to Dre without having to backtrack the way I think all the players, or two of the players, had to figure out, yeah, it might be a bit of time saved. Oh, glanced away for a second there. What did we find? No, Chrono's got Varia. Okay, there couldn't be anything actual behind Croc. We need to go down to Grapple. I promise I'm not... I'm not trying to avoid talking at this point. There's just so much thinking going on. Chrono opting to take a quick... oh, goodness. Crystal Flash. Those enemies can be a little bit dangerous down there. Interesting stuff. This seed has most definitely led us all for a merry chase. Having to run into the beam-locked doors leading up to many of the bosses. I think we might be in a position, though, where if Miz finds Plasma Beam down here, that might be a disadvantage. Unless we come to find out that Wave is locked behind Plasma. I think with Varia's suit here, lower warfare is obviously not out of the question for a lot of these players, but there might be a space jump requirement still for casual logic for that. It could be Wave at high jump or behind Fantoon somewhere. I think those are the two locations it could be at this point. It does open up, yeah, killing Fantoon and exploring that, so could be the case there. Okay. So finding space jump there means we're supposed to go to Shack, get Varia, find space jump here, and that was your access to lower warfare. I think that's what the logic is going for. So one or both of the beams have to be in lower warfare. So we might see a lot more not GT fights, because you don't need to actually go into that room. We might be seeing some people hack into Screw Attack a bit more frequently, even though that takes up a bunch of time. Because we're running short on Chozo locations, I gotta think you can't really afford to skip too much, especially when we're still missing 2 actual required beams. Oof. Looking at 44 minutes, still a bit of a struggle to find some of these beams, and still a long ways to go in terms of what these players need. Some of them need some different things than others at this point. Chrono opting for all of the Bubble Mountain checks. We know that hasn't yielded much, but we also know that Wave was required to actually get into Wave Beam, so a little bit of irony for the day. A little bit of irony in the diet. Whew. I feel mentally drained just trying to keep track of everything. The Spacer Shot Pro Piece is going to find the E-Tank here. Probably keep it with Crystal Flash on the back of the mind. Yes, I think just whoever thinks to go to Lower Norfair first at this point. And my brain keeps wanting to think Waterway, but it's not a thing. And Climb Supers as well. Miz, I think, finally conceding that he needed to go to Meridia. Tried to level the seed and just couldn't quite get there. And Pro Piece going to be struggling in Bubble Mountain for a little bit. And taking a look at the field right now, I do believe Thor has the most, arguably the most of a lead. The reset from Pro Piece. Finding some more supers here. Chrono's going to be stymied by this wave door. Miz just now getting into Meridia, so we're seeing what the situation is in there, though I don't think anybody checked Plasma. Oh, because Dre's not dead. I got there. Don't worry. Thor still opting for the Upper Norfair checks because you would. There's a bunch of them. Like I was saying, Thor might be in the position to figure out that Lower Norfair is the thing to do. Now, we'll see if Thor plays to Croc, though. Grapple is the only Chozo statue down there. It's a bit time-consuming to have to fight a boss for one item check. And we've talked pretty endlessly that because 2 of the beams are hard required to even beat the game, how much can you really afford to skip any check at all? Yeah. Sometimes I know this game, but every time I'm like sitting around and like trying to speculate on everything, especially when there's 4 players trying to go at it. My goodness. Yes. Advertisements. Please follow all these runners. They've all been doing a fantastic job putting on a show, showing off their skills. The commentary team and the restream team. Everybody behind the scenes who makes all this stuff possible every week. Big ups to them as well. We've got a vanilla door at the front of Lava, though I'm not sure if that one changes. There's some information there about the Discord channel. It does look like Chrono's going to be the first one going towards Lower Norfair. As Thor does end up in a situation of fighting it out with Croc. Gonna do his best to make quick work of this fight, I believe. Miz going in for some extra checks in Meridia. Might not be all the way familiar with which checks qualify. Might have just forgotten it's a Chozo seed halfway through because I've definitely done that myself. Thor going to be finding that space jump and is quite possibly going to realize that was all the strong indications that Lower Norfair was the place to go. Now I got Chrono, first person to enter. Let's see the strategy here. Are we going to see a screw attack check? Predict yes. Eyes and even more information about recent events coming up. There's already a multi-troid or a co-op tournament. There's a co-op tournament going on right now. There's going to be more events. There's always something going on. Commentary and restreaming and just help behind the scenes with the organization is all volunteer stuff. So if you've got some time and inclination and want to help out, please do. We can always use it. Big shout outs to everybody who's making this stream happen. Here's the check to screw attack. And there's the plasma beam all the way down there, so hard required. Check. Chrono in a slightly interesting situation of having no access to space jumps. This is going to be a slightly more annoying ascent than some cases. I do believe he has regular bombs, which is slow, but feasible. Thor picking up his space jump and has got to realize what's going on at this point. And here comes the bomb climb strats. This isn't admitting defeat, this is just using what you're given. I can't imagine Thor going to be wasting any time just getting to that Lower Norfair door. And Thor's access to space jump is going to give him the ability to move a little bit more efficiently. Lower Norfair has got some of the more challenging terrain and enemy setups. The more things that you have access to, the better. And also keeping in mind that Chrono does not have Screw Attack. A pretty significant item to have in Lower Norfair especially, because some of these enemies can be very dangerous. Picking up the Plasma Beam is going to help immensely with that. Apparently something has crossed Chrono's mind. Chrono going to be backing out of Lower Norfair? Nice high five on the elevator here. And Pro Piece getting a little frustrated with these doors. And Miz running into the same trouble. I do believe Thor is going to have not too much trouble. Chrono possibly leaving, feeling a little less comfortable with the loadout. Charging Plasma against Ridley's not terrible. Is Chrono trying to level the seed again? By going immediately to something like Wrecked Ship? Chrono could... This could be a wild bet that Wave is actually locking Ridley's door. Or the door through the Golden Pirates. This could be the wildest payoff we've ever seen. If Thor gets down to that door and it turns out to be a Wave and you needed to go back up to Wrecked Ship, A, the seed is really messing with us at that point. And B, this is just beyond Galaxy Brain. Chrono remembering there might be something hiding Croc. And having charged Plasma makes this a little bit faster. Maybe Chrono is just going to Croc. I am waiting with bated breath to see what this door is, though. I'm looking over at Thor. Did Thor not go down to Screw Attack just now? He obviously could have done it incredibly quickly. Or did go to Screw. Okay, so Thor should have access to Plasma. We could have waited until Thor tried to shoot at something, but having Screw Attack sometimes means it doesn't happen for a while. Yep, there it is. Okay. Confirmation there. Now, Miz... having that space jump is going to be able to get to gravity a little bit easier. Chrono is going to find space jump, which is interesting. Pro Piece... I think just got stuck in some loops of trying to figure out the logic. Okay, Ice Beam leading down. There is one more door cap that might be Wave. If I'm not mistaken. It is this door down here. Having them be two different colors, I think, is a little bit more rare. And also might have been changed in a more recent update or something like that. We're coming up on the 55-minute mark. Let's take a look here. It's Plasma locked. So Ridley was available. So Wave might be down here. A little piece of me was really rooting for the wildest of circumstances to come up right there. If that had been a Wave door, there would have been a lot of head scratching. And quite possibly a lot of swearing in the privacy of the streamer's own homes. You know, the need to vent your frustrations is fine. Rope's going to be picking up Varia's suit in just a second. Chrono's going to be moving around a little bit easier with the space jump. Thor's ended up on the straightest track towards the end, I do believe. It's still going to depend a little bit on where Wave actually is, since we definitively need it. And we know it can't be at Wave Beam. We know that much. And we know it can't be at Plasma. So is behind Ridley the only location left? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, because the other two that I'm thinking of are both wave-locked themselves. Wrecked ship. Wrecked ship is open, of course. Silly me. We're looking at 55 minutes and we haven't even gotten a wrecked ship taken care of just yet. But I am correct in thinking that the location behind Ridley counts as a Chozo, even though it's definitely not. The same way that the Varia suit one is. Oh, that's true. The high jump location was locked out too. Okay, so we still have plenty of options. Oh, we saw high jump open. Oh, we did. Picking up spring ball. Okay. Just unfortunate. The wave beam is really what we're waiting on at this point. Yes, Chrono just went through high jump. Just saw him coming back out of there. Couple pickups here behind Ridley. Is it easy mode? No, just an E-tank. So now we know it's not at high jump. So, wrecked ship. The only other plasma door I can readily think of is just the top of Red Tower. 3 wrecked ship locations. I think that might be all that we're dealing with at this point, yeah. Yeah, all of them locked behind Plasma, then locked behind Fantoon. Pardon me. I think it still is. Is the reserve? I mean, the reserve is obviously the Chozo location at that point. There's also the Chozo statue that's in... Okay, yeah, that's what you mean. Yeah. That would be interesting if there was still possible to speed lock things in the attic like that. The reserve missiles, yeah. Yeah, so I'm like 90% sure right side supers were changed to a major and a Chozo. I definitely have a Chozo statue in wrecked ship. I'm trying to remember if they left gravity as still a Chozo to make sure that the item distribution could still be okay. I do not have a ready answer. The reserves themselves, no, don't have an actual Chozo statue. Just bowling missiles and wrecked ship east side? Okay. Okay. Thor, I believe, is just in position to go all the way back up to wrecked ship. There's not much else to prove or do. There's seriously not much else to find either. I have to imagine Thor is going to be checking the high jump area again. And I think Thor possibly misremembering. Yeah, looked like Thor couldn't quite remember what that door was and didn't want to skip it if it was a plasma door. We're still seeing another croc fight go down. Over on Pro Peace's side. Chrono back in Lower Warfare. And Miz right behind, so we've ended up with sort of more of a line of players at various points along the same trajectory. Wave is wave locked. We did check out X-Ray pretty early on because the grapple was found at Spazer. It was ice, so it was a required check, even back when we did it, too. Interesting all by itself. So here's Thor's check of high jump. See if Thor opts to pick up Spring Ball at all. Oh, I see what you mean. Wave and X-ray and 3 minors. Yes. Wave has got to be one of the wreck ship locations. I think technically X-ray could be at Wave at that point. Yeah, no access to microwave beam this time. I have to imagine that as soon as anybody finds that wave beam, wherever it is in wreck ship, that's just going to be the end of that. Excuse me. Passing up the hour mark. And this has not been an easy seed. It's been the casual settings, so nothing really crazy has been required. It's just been a bit of a trick to figure out where to go at any given point, and some of these backtracks have been long affairs. Now we saw we needed to go to Lower Norfair to find Plasma, to go to Wrecked Ship to find Wave, to go to Dre. Yeah, that's just all over the map, not to mention the suit locations. So I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of how this went down. It stopped just short of being overtly cruel and was just kind of playful. Indeed. I think the X-ray, that would be the only thing left for it to be useful for, is microwaving Dre. We already know we gotta defeat Fantoon before we can... Yeah, I think before we can find it, because everything's got to be locked in there. Chrono trying to do the dance with Ridley. We got a color change, so this shouldn't be too much longer here. It does look like Pro Peace is on track now. He's picked up that space jump. Is going to be making his way down to Lower Norfair. Miz taking out the Gold Pirates. Chrono taking care of Ridley. Thor, the first one, back out to the moat. And I believe every player in this, every player we've seen, and probably every player who joined up today, probably all did this check and were discouraged to find that Plasma was blocking the way to Fantoon. I don't think anybody managed to only single dip the wrecked ship this time. Red style grapple doors. For a few of them as well, you could have it just be like speed blocks in the way, and for some of them you'd have to figure out like a chain of shine sparks or something. I don't know how many actual door locations that would really work out for, but ooh, I know some players who'd go for that. All right, welcome in, Tui. Our wave, I believe we've determined, has to be, unless you're being sarcastic, has to be one of the 2 locations in Wrecked Ship, because I believe we have seen literally everything else. We have not seen what is at Vanilla Wave, but that's because it's blocked by Wave. Waterway and Climb Supers aren't viable for this because they aren't Chozo locations, they're just major locations. Did they change Climb Supers? That sounds familiar too. Because goodness knows, if there's ever any possibility that Climb Supers can be blocking something you need, that's what I'm voting for. Yeah, I could have sworn I remembered something about them wanting to change Climb Supers so that it could be important, but yeah. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Just in full? Okay, that's probably the best place for them. Alright. Here comes the right side check from Thor. Or not. Maybe Thor knows something we don't know. Oh! Right, this is technically a Chozo statue up here on this side. Oh, fantastic, then. Oh, Red Ship E, that's what you meant. I thought you meant right side, but you said what you actually meant, and I just couldn't, apparently couldn't get that far in my brain. This is me learning. I learn. And there it is. Fantastic location to find things. Now, Thor, I imagine, has to just be ducking on out. Are we gonna... Yeah! And Smokey validated the run because it's one of the very few circumstances where getting down to Meridia is just a little bit maybe faster with this loadout and going through a Forgotten Highway. Yeah. Thor was probably just really relieved not to, find nothing there, having to go through bowling. Being forced to go through bowling to find one item. That's got to be tough. And Miz heading into the Wavegate room. I could have sworn Miz had seen this at one point, but no, the supers are still there. So I think this might be Miz's first trip around Bubble Mountain. So we get to see a nice... I'm about to say, look, kid, this door stop Thor, but no, Thor literally has all the beams. So that's a bit of a relief. All right, so now we've seen the long and short of it. We see the whole picture here as the audience. And I gotta say, I gotta point out, early on in this seed, it seemed like Thor was having the most trouble. Accidentally last locationing just about everything. But we saw, because Randomizer can really just mess with you sometimes, Thor ended up getting back into the position he's in by, some not mistakes, but decisions not panning out in profitable ways for some people. It's kind of been last location central for a lot of things, so things were converging when we knew exactly where we needed to go, diverging when we didn't quite know, but converging again because we're running out of options. Red! How's it going, Red? It's too bad you only got a couple minutes to poke your head in, because this seed has just really led us for a merry waltz. I have enjoyed it. Thor making as fast a line as possible towards Dre. And we're at the hour, 1 hour, 8 minutes. And only just now in a position to start taking care of the last remaining bosses. We had some really severe door locks leading towards Fantoon and Dre. Been incredibly tough. I would have been completely lost for sure. Now you can see Pro Piece has already taken down Ridley, is making fantastic time. Just about to say, follow all these runners, because they're just demonstrating that, the randomizer might get you a couple of times. You might get a little bit trolled, but all of these players are on track, understand what they're doing, and are making the game look pretty easy. Lots of information behind the scenes. We got the streamers and everybody's helping out behind the scenes. We got weekly randomizer races that we do on Saturdays. There's a Discord for that. There's a Discord for, just about any format of Super Metroid you could think of, but yeah, there's events coming up. Please keep your eyes open and your ears prepped to receive as much information as possible, because there is a lot of it. There is always some Super Metroid to be watched. Oh my goodness. Fantastically done, Reem. Fantastic. So, a Fantoon fight going down. Miz making his way towards a wrecked ship. Pro Piece already out of Lower Norfair, and I don't think has too many distractions to account for. I believe Pro Piece has seen more than his map might lead on because of a couple of resets along the way. Thor setting up for this Dre fight as Fantoon goes down as Miz is about to start it, so... And we saw this game fluctuate in a lot of different directions, but it really comes down to the players. You know, the good players will always have a fighting chance. All the players will have a fighting chance. Part of the fun. Yeah, please feel free to join us on Saturdays for stuff like this. We got a more casual setting earlier in the day, and what time is it now? In just under 2 hours, we're going to see the afternoon one, which is a harder settings. As a little bit more stuff can be required, you might see some hell runs, you might see some lower E-tank counts, and I do believe, is it mostly the same settings this time, or do we have more of a mystery seed? Oh. It's going to be a hard full with, are we going to be like teams? Or is many versus many just a way of saying every man for himself, every person for themselves? Another Fantoon fight. It's a little bit dark in that one, though. Color palette customization can sometimes be a little bit strange. Okay, so just full rando. You're going to see some people taking some more risks, and quite possibly more deaths, if that appeals to you a bit more. Everyone for themselves, don't know who will join. Yeah. We'll see different populations at different times. I think we only 5, was it 5 people for this one? And you would think that the harder randomizer would be a little lower population in general, but that's definitely not been the case on a couple of occasions. Pro Piece, making his way out of Meridia. Right alongside Thor as well. The key difference being who has been killed. Because as we can see, Pro Piece does not have access to Wave Beam just yet, which means Fantoon's gotta still be alive over on that side. And that will be the key to Dre. But I do believe Pro Piece did kill Ridley a minute ago. There's another Fantoon death, always fun to see. Is it just coming down towards the end? This has been a bit of a marathon for everybody. Thor going to be the first to reach the ship. And since this is not area rando, we will not be getting a free refill at the ship, I'm pretty sure. Thor opting not to stop anyway. Has Miz killed Ridley? Yes, Miz did. Because they're all kind of in a chain of who's sort of in the lead, so everybody's gone through Lower Norfair at this point. I'm just waiting on seeing... Ooh. Miz going towards the attic, though, might have slipped his mind that there is a very sneaky Chozo statue that's not doing very much sitting. Another Fantoon fight incoming. Pro not? I could have... Well, okay, we saw Pro leaving Meridia. Now I'm not so sure either. But just tough to keep track of. So many fantastic players all at the same time. So we're trying to get some Metroid strats going on. We'll be seeing Mother Brain very shortly. And a fully loaded beam combo is certainly a way of making this fight not negligible, but very fast. I'm going to see a little bit of bowling from Miz today, though. So between all the players, we've seen just about every screen we can imagine. We even got to see Forgotten Highway. Forbidden Highway. Indestructible side hoppers. I believe this is Chrono's trek towards Dre. Indeed, so just slightly different routing at this point, but everybody kind of getting to the point you gotta... Oh, I see. On Miz's side, that was probably a save, and then saves coming out of bowling. Probably going to be going through Spiky Room of Death now, as Phantoon does. There was definitely a save after Phantoon died, so I wouldn't be surprised if Miz's play right now is to just turn around and go down here, possibly even thinking, hey, if I gotta go through Forgotten Highway to get down to Dre, then this will just be one nice trip. It's very true. There's a courting disaster by accidentally checking the wrong item. Or quite possibly saw that, realized that it wasn't a Chozo item, and then save scummed because he knew he had to turn around. So that'll be interesting if we get a... I don't know if we'll have a chance to talk to anybody today. I'd have a million questions about what everyone's thought process was, though, so... It would just be a never-ending interview. Which is just another fantastic feature, I think, of this game, and it being as old as it is, but still feeling as fresh as it is, and having enough depth that we can play it literally every week and still learn new things, and converse with people about how to play the game differently, interestingly. Pro Piece might be running into the same decision-making process, though I don't know that Pro Piece saved. Though I might have just missed it. The Mother Brain 2 fight in progress for Thor. Catch-up beams coming along. A Dre fight starting here. Another trip through Forgotten Highway. And Pro Piece having his own moments of realizing that something seemed a little bit amiss. Looks like he didn't want to commit to doing bowling without having checked this other item first, and that would indicate to me that there was no save actually done. Well, might have just been a little bit of second-guessing himself and wondering what to do. And really, if you just commit to doing the loop, you can get back in direct ship fairly easily. And we'll see how it pans out. We'll see if we get to check the right side item and if X-ray is here or it's just one of the other wave-locked locations. Quick zip down the toilet. Now, I'm pretty focused here on Pro Piece to see what this item turns out to be, just out of professional interest. Double cutscenes. 2 for the price of 1. Now we are going to be topping an hour and 20 minutes. Thor's going to knock out this hyper beam section, and then it's got speed for escape. Clicking too many buttons on my own computer. We've all had that, huh? WJG, I would normally love to, but I think I have to run off a little bit more immediately than I was hoping. So I think I can finish out Thor, but I might have to let everyone else kind of play it out. If somebody else wanted to try to jump in, if they'd like to, by all means, but I think I'm just cutting my schedule too close today. Okay. Wasn't even sure I was going to make it at the beginning, not even sure I'm going to make it at the end. Sounds like a typical day for me. That's actually really not a bad idea, because Thor would just be like, oh my god, and everyone else have the same trouble, and everyone would be like, yeah, we all have the same trouble. Genuinely, that's not a terrible idea, so I don't know. If you ever do accidentally end up without like a commentator, you could just have the person who ends in first like conduct an interview if they're willing. So like you made this funny suggestion, and it genuinely sounds kind of like a good idea. Bowling missiles supposed to reserve. All right. So last find of wave beam here, as Thor's going to be closing this out. You get to ask them that. Absolutely pitch the idea to anyone who's willing to listen. All right, big GG's to Thor, the 120.49. And I pointed out before, Thor no slouch. Nobody here is a slouch at this game. You hit the hour 20 mark, and you got to be feeling like something might have gone a little bit wrong. But I think everybody in the situation had enough information to understand that the seed was going to be sort of complicated no matter what. And for the door rando, obviously adding the extra elements to it. The more complex you tend to make these things, the longer they tend to take, you know? Seems like pretty easy math. That's still very respectable times. Oh, yeah. Execution still wins the day in a lot of these cases. Whew. So the last little scrap of halfway interesting information will just be, is X-ray anywhere? Oh, we might be able to find out in the credits here. I can at least, yeah, stick around to greet Thor. I might have to... Hey! There's Thor. GG's. Well done. For a seed that really kind of had it in for you a little bit. Well, it looks like you have the little microphone mute symbol. I've definitely tried to talk with my muted microphone on many occasions.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. How's it going for you? Thoughts and impressions?
Not too bad. I mean, the seed was just kind of a door rando, so you go up and down and up and down. I got a little unlucky in places, but I think I did okay.
Yeah, the really interesting thing that we saw early on was, as is the case sometimes, you ended up last location and kind of stuff, so you looked like you were lagging a little bit behind, but then everyone sort of had to reconverge when it was obvious, like, we have to go to X-ray because something's got to be there, and then we have to go to wreck ship because wave has to be there. So everything was kind of like drifting apart and then back together. And once everything kind of solidified, you had done enough checks that you didn't get kind of bogged down going other places, and you made much more of a straight line from Ridley back to the beginning of the game, basically.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I kind of ran into every dead end possible. I had sort of all the information I needed, and I could just kind of...
Yeah. Just about everybody ran into everything, too, just in different orders.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's how these go.
I think the only thing we never saw any bit of was X-ray, and it looks like that was just at wave beam, locked behind wave beam, so that was never going to get checked.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think along the ways. It was keeping track of the four of you and seeing all the different things that you're trying to do and what decisions you might be trying to make. I mean, for your part, I think it was just obvious that, when it came down to, okay, you had a really solid idea of where you were going, your execution was just perfect. Like, this is my next destination. And so we still saw, even though it was a rando, everybody's execution really coming into play. Because even now, everybody's just on track to beat the game and doing pretty good times for everybody.
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought it was a merry chase to have to go like down to Lower Norfair, up to Wrecked Ship, and then
Oh yeah.
having to keep Dre for the end because everybody found that wave door in front of Dre and just stood there for a second.
Makes sense. Trying to think of what to do.
Yeah. So in general, so generally with Rando, so not counting door Rando for just a second, like there seems to be not safe plays, but is there like a way that you approach them generally? You try to listen to the signals, or do you just like commit to a route that you think is going to work?
I don't know. It really depends on the day. I like to take dumb gambles sometimes, and just kind of go the way that is slower but might have a bigger payoff. But in a seed like this, I mean, I found most of the decisions kind of straightforward. I just kind of went to the nearest Chozo statue that I could remember at the time.
Yeah. And do you think Door Rando like plays into that a bit of you're going to do something more different because you might get locked out of somewhere? Do you try to keep that in mind, or do you just say, well, if this ends up being a bit of a stumbling block, then that's just information that I have, really?
Yeah, I don't really know. I find the door randos kind of give you a lot of almost extra information. Like you're going up and down a lot, but because you kind of know like which door, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Door randos are confusing. I don't really have a particular strategy for them. I haven't done too many, so I think it just kind of worked out for me this time.
I haven't done very many myself, and I don't know if that can be like a general strategy. I see what you mean, though, of if you need plasma to get into Lower Norfair, let's say, then you kind of like got a lot of, okay, there's a lot of other places I need to check, and I don't have to come back this way until I know I can get in.
I was pretty worried about, like, once I found plasma there, going straight down to Ridley, I was worried that I was going to be met with a wave door, like, right at the bottom. So I did actually consider kind of just going out the way I came once I got plasma and going right to the wreck ship. But I figured the payoff would be so big if I got to the bottom and I could get through that it was kind of just worth it. So I took that.
I think that was a decision that I think, who's the other one? I think Chrono ran into, of finding plasma, but then did leave Lower Norfair. And I said, I'm sort of hoping that this pans out of like, it's a wave door at the bottom, and he's going, I know I can beat Fantoon, maybe wave is somewhere in wrecked ship, and gambling that way. That's not what ended up happening, but I thought it would have been a little exciting, if extremely annoying.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest gamble of this seed for sure, at least for the route I took.
All right, so we've got Mother Brain down for Chrono as well, so we're pretty close together pack here. Yeah, I think everybody just run into the situation of like being led by the nose in a couple of circles around the entire game. It was just going to take a little extra long for everybody.
Yeah, I've never done door rando with Chozo, so I found that kind of to be it kind of threw me through a loop a few times. Chozo's probably my least done kind of the three location style randos. Yeah.
I think that's true for me as well. And I'm trying to think about like the interactions that something that I've noticed is I much prefer in something like area rando that it's something like major minor, because it's okay, now I got my bearings because I know where I ended up, but I don't have to check every single thing. I know where I can prioritize. So you're still making on-the-fly decisions, but it's not just I guess I'll check the two things I can check here and then come back or something like that. So I'm wondering if I'll like sort of feel the same way with door rando, to be like having the major locations or the Chozo locations be the priority makes sense, because then it's not a did I miss something along the way as well. But I get full rando just has that sort of risk involved.
Yeah.
Chrono finishing it out. No, I think I can make it. I think I can do this. Chrono has finished. I thought I was gonna have to skedaddle sooner than later, but I think we can finish this out. We did have an interesting idea, Thor, since you were the first one done, and this sort of applied especially where maybe a commentator couldn't be found in time for it. I thought it'd be interesting. The person who comes in first just waits for the other people to finish and then conducts the interview from there. But I don't know. There'd have to be some logistics and everything like that. But somebody suggested it in chat. It was WJG or Reem, and I was like, that. I think it was supposed to be a bit of a joke, but it kind of sounded like a really good idea.
Do I have the ability to pull people from the green room into the channel? Do I need like some kind of permission for that, or?
I think it's got to be some of the admins or the actual Discord server are the ones who are able to do that. But I think as long as there's a restream, somebody must be watching.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It was red.
I haven't even pulled the restream up. Where it kind of is everybody right now?
Miz is got MB2 going. Chrono is in credits, and Pro Piece is heading down through Metroid Room 3 now. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think there was only one other person who was playing in this particular one who isn't part of the restream because 5 people is, I guess, a bit of an awkward shape. And keeping track of 4 people already is... Whew, it's draining. Yes.
That makes sense. See out.
Yeah.
In the race. Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce that? I had a realization at the beginning. I was like, I've never said it out loud. But yes, there's the links to follow all the runners in chat. We're going to see another Mother Brain dead in just a second, as well as, hey, we've got double baby Metroid cutscenes going on. Always a pleasure. They showed up on the screen at like the same frame. That was amazing. I thought Cout. Okay. Cout. Yeah, I've had some cases like trying to ask people how to pronounce their names because sometimes not always obvious. But
oh yeah, I don't even try half the time.
It'd be like it's something like that. They'll figure it out. Yeah, everybody found just a little bit of everything. What did you end up with? Everything except X-ray, it looks like. And we knew that was never going to happen.
Yeah, I never checked plasma location.
I don't think anybody did. But by the look of the credits, there wasn't anything hiding there.
Yeah, no, with Wave being the last thing we found, I think it was required to find Wave last, so...
It sure seemed like it. Because it was just, yeah, locking a wave behind a wave. Technically behind ice as well, but finding gravity early and everybody going to X-ray and finding ice, that was one of the points of convergence. So like you'd all kind of gone in different directions, but as soon as everybody sort of figured out, there's a Chozo location over here and it's out of the way, but we have the means to do it. And then everybody picked up ice and kind of spread out again a little bit after that. It was really fun to watch the ebb and flow of everyone, and then just to see that it's still a fairly close race between a bunch of fantastic players. And Kronos said okay for joining us for the interview process. We'll see if he gets into the Discord green room. There's another Mother Brain down, and we're going to see another escape as Mother Brain 1 goes down for Pro Piece. Yeah, as always, like, if you feel like sticking around, feel free, of course. But if you've got things to do, don't feel obligated or feel like you're stuck here.
I could stick here around for a few minutes.
Yeah.
They're almost done.
It's like to make sure, because I know for some people, you're like, well, I don't want to just, bounce out without saying anything, and nobody wants to be rude. Excellent. Here's Chrono joining us just now. DGs.
Hey, thank you. GG.
All right. Want to give us a few of your initial thoughts and impressions about this go around?
Sure. I felt like I played it decently. There was only a couple things that I wish I'd or that I could have done had I chosen differently. Like after getting plasma, I could have just killed Ridley without checking all the like high jump. I think I checked, and there's a couple of majors that I checked, but I think I did okay. And then, yeah.
I think everybody ran into a lot of similar situations of running into the doors that they couldn't open and having to make decisions from there. And I've been telling Thor, like, at the beginning you all kind of spread out, but when it came time to find Ice Beam, everybody sort of had the idea that like they had to use grapple to go to X-ray to get it, and then you spread out again after that. So it's just sort of like coming together and drifting apart. So when things started to solidify, we still have a pretty close pack of people. Miz just finishing out now as well. With just 5 and 10 minutes kind of separating from here. There was a bunch of kind of circling around, needing plasma to go direct ship, to get wave beam, to go back to Dre, all that kind of stuff. And every single person stood in front of the Dre door for just a second and going, oh no.
Yeah.
That's true. You were the one, Chrono, that you left Lower Norfair after finding plasma, and yeah, I think it was high jump you went to, and you killed Croc and found space jump that way.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the other one.
And part of me was really hoping you were going to jump all the way up to wreck ship and find wave, and somebody was going to find out that it was a wave door blocking the rest of Lower Norfair. Because I was a little bit rooting for the seed to be really trolly, but this time it was just kind of like going in circles for a while. That's all it really did.
Yeah, at that point I wasn't 100% sure because I didn't write down wreck ship and I forgot which door it was. That's why I turned around and went to check Ridley first, just because I wasn't sure.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes, like, because I know for me, I gotta manually keep track of just about everything because I can't keep it all in my brain. So area randos and door cap randos. There's a lot of extra information, and we're also joined by Miz coming in. GG's Miz.
Thank you.
GG.
I want to give us any first impressions of how that seed was for you.
Well, I decided to go. I'm not familiar with Chozo at all. So
Right.
the entire time I'm thinking like, is this a location? Is that a location? I decided to go meme route, and because I figured that there's more birds that way. Better splitting the luck, and I was happy to see as I was doing that the doors were locking behind me. So I'm like, okay, good. So if anybody went the other way, they probably didn't get this far.
That's very true, because you were the one who did do meme route immediately at the beginning.
Yep.
Which did end up being interesting, because I think it was a screw attack down there at charge, which is always fantastic to find really early on.
Yeah, that was real nice.
That was, and he ended up running into some dead ends going that way. But we've been saying with all the guys, everybody sort of ran into all the dead ends just at different times. So everybody kind of last location a little bit of something somewhere. And you sort of converged at points where there was only one item all of you could kind of go towards, like going towards ice. You all did at the same time. But then y'all making very interesting decisions from there, and some of them panned out a little bit faster, but a lot of them were just finding that you couldn't go a particular way, especially with all the wave locked doors, and the Dre being locked behind wave was a big one. And Pro Piece has finished in fourth with a time of 1:37.28. GG's to him as well.
I gotta say, the one that annoyed me the most was Fantoon being fat plasma locked, because I made a big risk going up to them when I did.
Yeah, but what ended up happening there too, with this really similar circumstance, I don't think anybody managed to only go direct ship once. I think everybody ended up running into that plasma door and having to decide what to do from there. Having the cloud flying towards me like that is just amazing. Pro Piece, GG's as well.
Thanks. That was quite the seed.
Yeah, a little bit. There's a little bit of roundabout and the going from plasma all the way up to wave to have to fight Dre after that. So the seed definitely took everybody in circles a couple of times. I've said it many times at this point. You guys all kind of went in different directions at first, and then you came back together for ice. Then you went apart again for other stuff. You came back together again around Lower Norfair, and you just all kind of finished out in the order that you ended up there. But yeah, big GG's to everybody. Make sure to follow all these runners. They're all fantastic. And, shout outs to the people behind the scenes as well. Do you want to just talk about any of the decisions you thought were interesting along the way, or your familiarity with randos in general, maybe?
Well, this is my first door color rando because I'm familiar with the mode, but I'd never done it myself.
Right.
So some of my decisions, like I went back to Big Pink because I forgot that there was a wave door there. So then I just had to reset and then rethink what I was gonna do.
I think that wave door I think was a huge stumbling block, because since we know that wave showed up way later in the seed, and not being able to go through that direction towards Red Tower, that's usually what people do, and having access to that route tends to be nice. So having to go around in loops again to go back through Crateria to do meme route again to go back to Red Tower. The number of times I'd have to go back to in trying to describe the seed, there was a lot.
Yeah, it took us in circles.
You got any usual strategy when it comes to randomizers? Even without the door caps being the thing, are there stuff that you like to do or that you think is helpful?
Since I'm not too experienced with the game still, I usually like to go to Crade first and then explore that Norfair area, depending on what I get. And then if I get supers or something, then I'll go up Red Tower. Well, I'll have supers, but if I feel I have enough equipment to go to Wreck Ship, then I'll go there.
That's a pretty classic opening move. It's my favorite pattern too, of basically playing the game like it was intended. It works out in a lot of cases, especially for this was the more casual one, and then we have the harder one in the afternoons. There's a lot more risk taking and decision making that goes on there.
I'm not. Some of those tricks that you're kind of required to do for the hard mode ones, I'm not really familiar with yet.
Yeah, I still don't really enjoy Hell Runs or Suitless Meridia stuff. It still intimidates me. I think we're just waiting on Count is the only one left. So another big GG's to all of you guys, and thanks for joining us for a couple of words. If you guys have anything you needed to run off to do, don't feel like you're stuck here. We're just happy to have you.
Probably sign off for now.
All right.
GG's, everyone. Thanks
Always
for the
good to see you,
raid.
Thor. Yep.
GG, thanks for the comms and the restream. Head out too.
Yeah. Thanks for all the behind the scenes people. Thank you so much. So Count's gonna be coming along whenever he gets here, and our next matchup, about an hour and 15 minutes from now, is gonna be the harder logic, and we'll see how many people we get together for that. It looks like everybody's signed off, and we're gonna be going for a raid on Count. Thanks very much for everybody again behind the scenes, WJG and Red for being awesome, and Reem. Thanks to the runners. Thank you all for joining us. It's always fantastic to be here. Let us go and raid Count, and we'll see you next mission.